It's 3 a.m. somewhere in the open ocean. Inside a steel hull the size of a small city, thousands of sailors are awake. Not because of an emergency, not because of combat. This is just another normal night aboard a U.S. Navy ship. For most Americans, nighttime means rest. For sailors at sea, night often means another shift, another watch, another task squeezed into a day that never really ends. The modern Navy runs on precision, technology, and constant readiness. But beneath that efficiency lies a quieter reality few civilians ever see. Chronic exhaustion, relentless pressure, and a lifestyle that pushes the human body far beyond its limits. The consequences of these pressures have tragically been seen in real life. Between 2019 and 2022, 9 sailors aboard the aircraft carrier USS George Washington died by suicide. One particularly harrowing week in April 2022 saw 3 sailors take their own lives within just a few days while the ship was undergoing a prolonged maintenance period at the Newport News shipyard. Investigations later revealed that sailors were living in extremely challenging conditions for years. Cramped berthings, long commutes, inadequate recreational facilities, and a lack of privacy and normal daily structure. The Navy concluded that poor living conditions and elevated stress contributed to mental health struggles, although each death had its own individual factors. Families and shipmates had warned of distress signals, but support came too late in many cases. These ships are marvels of engineering. Aircraft carriers and destroyers carry nuclear reactors, advanced radar systems, and weapons capable of projecting power across the globe. But they also carry something far more fragile: people. Sleep is the first thing sacrificed at sea. On many Navy ships, sailors average far less sleep than medical standards recommend. Watch rotations, maintenance, drills, and administrative duties compete for every hour. Even when sailors are off duty, that time includes eating, showering, training, and standing in long lines. What's left for sleep is often fragmented and unpredictable. Navy research has repeatedly shown that prolonged sleep deprivation degrades performance to levels comparable to alcohol impairment. Reaction time slow, judgment suffers, small mistakes multiply. Now imagine performing complex, high-risk tasks in that state, navigating narrow sea lanes, handling live aircraft, maintaining nuclear systems, or standing armed watch in the dark. At sea, fatigue isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. Food is often overlooked in discussions about life at sea, but it is critical. Every day, thousands of sailors depend on a small team of galley workers to feed them efficiently and safely. Galley crews work some of the longest hours on the ship, often 12 to 13-hour shifts, preparing thousands of meals. They rise early to bake bread, prep vegetables, and cook for large crews, often with little sleep themselves. For many, these long hours come on top of watch rotations or maintenance duties, meaning they are awake for 18 hours straight at times. The meals themselves are an engineering feat. Ships store tens of thousands of pounds of food in limited refrigeration and storage spaces. Everything must be portioned, preserved, and prepared efficiently. The menu is repetitive due to storage constraints, with limited fresh produce during long deployments. Nutritional balance is carefully planned, but taste and variety are inevitably sacrificed. Yet the galley is not a sanctuary. High heat, heavy equipment, cramped workspaces, and constant pressure to serve thousands of meals on schedule make it one of the most exhausting jobs on the ship. Sleep deprived, overworked, and surrounded by noise, galley sailors epitomize the human strain that underpins every functioning ship. A Navy ship is often described as a floating city, but it's a city without personal space. Enlisted sailors sleep in berthing compartments where dozens of people share the same air, noise, and light. Each sailor's entire personal world fits into a narrow rack stacked inches from the next. Curtains offer minimal privacy. Lockers are small. Quiet is rare. The ship never truly sleeps. Machinery hums constantly. Alarms sound without warning. Announcements echo through passageways at all hours. For sailors working deep inside the ship, sunlight can disappear for weeks at a time. Every hallway is narrow. Every ladder is steep. Every movement requires awareness of others moving in the opposite direction. Even basic tasks like showering or eating require patience and timing. This environment demands adaptability, and sailors do adapt. They build routines, they form tight bonds, they learn to function under conditions most civilians would find unbearable. But adaptation does not erase strain, it only hides it. Maintenance periods, the hidden low point. Surprisingly, some of the worst conditions sailors face do not occur during deployments, but while ships are in port for maintenance. During long overhauls, ships are torn apart by contractors, living spaces degrade, systems fail, noise, dust, and long commutes replace the sense of mission sailors rely on to stay motivated. In these periods, the ship cannot sail, but the workload remains relentless. Sailors often describe these years as feeling stuck. No deployment pride, no clear purpose, just endless grind inside a half-functioning vessel. Investigations into past tragedies have shown that morale and mental health often deteriorate fastest during these maintenance phases, when the structure and meaning of naval service temporarily disappear. Signs of change and the road ahead. In recent years, the Navy has begun to acknowledge these realities. New sleep policies, improved connectivity at sea, expanded mental health resources, and redesigned ships with smaller crews all signal progress. These reforms matter. They save lives, but they are only a beginning. Technology can reduce workload, but it cannot replace rest. Policies can mandate sleep, but they cannot eliminate operational pressure. Real change requires leadership that treats human endurance as a finite, valuable asset, not something to be spent without accounting. The dark truth about life inside a U.S. Navy ship is not that sailors are suffering in silence because they lack strength. It's that they are carrying extraordinary responsibility under conditions that test the limits of the human mind and body. They do this willingly, they do this professionally, and they do it every day far from public view. If the United States expects its Navy to remain the most capable force on Earth, it must recognize a simple fact. Steel ships do not sail themselves. People do. And people need rest, dignity, and care to survive the ocean as much as they need training and discipline.